Maybe not so much these days because he lives in the UK, but some of the tournaments he's been to in Australia will be very much like this. And I have to say that the temperature outside has dropped dramatically, and some of that fresh air is now feeding its way into this hall, and the temperature in here is a lot more comfortable. But go back to some of those tournaments that Whitlock's played. The gold nugget that is around his neck, he won that in a dart tournament in the Northern Territory, a place called Tennant Creek. Now that's a famous dart tournament. It's called I think it's the Gold Nugget Classic, and they get up to 50 degrees there in the summer. But Yoza has handled the pressure and all of his opponents really well, but as you can hear, he's going to have to handle the crowd as well in this one. But modern day Bobby George, isn't he? Simon Whitlock with the bling.
Yeah, he has had a lot of support from the crowd, Simon Whitlock, over the course of this weekend. He's firmly the favourite out of the remaining players in the tournament, and has been since the quarter-final stages at least.
Well, last time Jamie Hughes was in a semi-final, it was in the Euro Tour, and when he played in the semi, he hit the wall. Keegan Brown said to me when he came off stage there that he pretty much hit the wall there. Now, can Jamie Hughes negotiate the wall and keep throwing well? It's not so much about playing your best game now, it's about doing enough and it's being a survival of the fittest.
Well, not troubling the treble, but it shouldn't matter as Whitlock cuts his score in half and will return to try and tidy things up and take the first leg.
I think Yoza has resigned himself to losing this leg. That's a perfect 20 for Simon.
Yeah, plenty of room to the left. Simon Whitlock is still using those points that he whittled out of Allen Keys around this time last year. He's not used them the whole time since then, but he's actually made further adjustments to those points, he was telling me in the practice room. He's been using the grinder to get them down kind of even sharper at the end, and he's actually even managed to put in a thread to make some grip on the points as well, Simon Whitlock. All his own work.
He's mad.
The mad professor of the hockey, Simon Whitlock.
Has he not got anything better to do?
Clearly not.
He was telling me actually he's had a bit of a pain in his right arm in the tennis elbow sort of region. He's been to the physio to have it looked at, but the amount of darts that these guys play, there are going to be a few niggles. And he's put the golf clubs away because he is a keen golfer, and he likes playing table tennis as well. He's going to stop doing that, I think, until the match play is over and see if it will heal naturally. It's not hindering his darts.
Speaking of crowd support, the Wizard will be heading home to Australia for the World Series events, of course, this summer as well.
Not at all jealous.
And it was a very good interview that he gave after his win this afternoon, saying that he's hoping that he's a good role model for the upcoming stars, the likes of Corey Cadby, who we've seen in this tournament, Kyle Anderson, who has suffered at a poor tournament despite not being in it, losing his spot at the match play, but the old daddy is still the one at the end.
Well, here's the thing, he is the best Australian dart player of all time. That is not even a negotiation. And he understands at his age that he is a role model for every dart player coming through, and maybe he is a bit of a role model for Kyle and for Corey. Yoza looking to fill it up, does so. That might change this leg in his favour.
Whitlock needs to find a treble to get a dart. That's a double, he's done that bit. And it is double top.
Well, listen to the crowd if this goes in.
That's what they think. They liked it, he loved it. And he goes into the third leg, having broken the throw already. He appreciates them too. Simon Whitlock has been a little bit of a while for someone of his title-winning prowess. Well, Simon Whitlock exchange. It is a bit like the old Eric Bristow, Bobby George chant. That started off the old chanting. Yeah, that's what I was going to say, apart from that Jamie Hughes is not involved in it. One half of the crowd wants Simon to win, the other half would like Whitlock. Yeah, just going to make the point that it has been a little while for Simon Whitlock, a man who has picked up more PDC titles than most. It's March 2017 since he won his last one. That ended a spell of 5 titles won in a 5-month period for the Wizard. So if he does take the crown tonight, who knows if he can't go on another surge. Well, that happened in the early part of the year, the later part of the previous year, and all of those wins were at floor events. Who knows if he's going to hit top form at just the right time.
Well, we both know, you and I, Chris, what his motivation is. It's to get back in the Premier League, isn't it? He wants to be back in the elite. He genuinely believes, and he said it out loud today, that he is one of the best 10 players in the world. And he's not overshooting it. He's not saying, I am the best player in the world. He honestly believes he belongs in the top 10. Now, if he wins this tournament, he will be.
Yeah, he would leapfrog Ian White into that position. He will be aware that Jamie Hughes is a dangerous player, not just from watching, but playing against him as well, because he's met him twice this year, and he's lost both of those meetings. And they've both been kind of on the European tour. One of them was on the stage in the last 32 match at the German Darts Open, which Hughes won 6-4, averaging just shy of a ton. And Whitlock did have to go and qualify for one of the European Tour events, failed to do so. Hughes stopped him qualifying in that. He then went to one that he was seeded for and reached the final, which has kept him in the seedings.
That's correct. Yoza looking to force his way down from that 148. And the lack of a treble there is music to the ears of the Wizard. The sole seed left. There's of course only one way you can get the 156. But if Hughes doesn't get the 88, Whitlock's ready to have a crack. 777. That is sensational from Jamie Hughes to get himself on the board. There were question marks in the first couple of legs, but there, a clinical 88 out has got himself on the board and back on throw.
Simon just unable to shake him off in the early exchanges when it was looking like he might go on a little cruise to the final. Speaking of seedings, I've been informed that I was quite surprised to hear it actually, that as things stand, Mensa Suljovic is falling out of the provisional seedings for the next European Tour event, which means he would have to go and qualify.
That hasn't happened in a very long time.
100.
There's going to be a lot of twists and turns and changes over the course of the summer, and you're going to have to stay tuned to
84.
the PDC's website for all of the necessary information about who's going to be seeded for the likes of Vienna, Mannheim, Riesa, the season ending Gibraltar for the European Tour, which will determine who goes to Göttingen in October.
Well, the reason I mentioned Suljovic is the fact that he does skip a lot of the floor events, so will that force a change in his calendar?
May do, because those European qualifiers are not easy.
136 is not an easy checkout, but Jamie Hughes is making it look like a piece of cake.
Game shot on the full flag. Jamie Hughes. Who's letting Simon to throw first? Game on.
I don't think there's going to be many people in the crowd having a piece of cake right now.
50.
We don't advocate at the PDC having late cake, but I think we'd probably advocate a glass of something bubbly to the guy who wins this championship.
135.
Hughes has fought his way back to parity after losing the first couple of legs.
If you're Stephen Bunting, sitting backstage, just taking a breather, you want both of these guys to knock 7 bells out of each other over the course of 13 legs. And if you're James Wilson right now, you're hoping that Simon Whitlock gets to the final so he can finally breathe easy.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because James and Jamie are actually good pals and are in the same management stable, but for the duration of this tournament, particularly towards the back end of it, I'm sure that the Jammy Dodger would have been cheering
56.
all of his opponents.
It's never easy when it comes to cut-off day. Something always happens.
58. Jamie McCall 170.
Well, since Simon Whitlock raised the glass to the crowd, it's all started to go a little bit wrong for the Wizard. Hughes looking likely to break again here.
134.
Even more likely now. And when he starts leaving doubles after 12 darts, you've got to be on notice and you've got to raise your game. It looks like Yoza has found his range. Double 9. Might bust his score.
28.
Chose not to. But if Simon Whitlock ever needed a 170, it could be now. But this is for a hole to throw. Just lost his range on that first
54.
R. He's not been able to capitalize on it for the lead. He's there. It wasn't a guide. It was a poor dart to start. As long as you get it with one of the next two, who cares, eh?
Yep, Hughes hits the front. Whitlock needing to regroup, try and utilise that support of the fourth dart.
140.
Well, Yoza has silenced them somewhat. They are trying out there to lift the spirits of the Aussie.
98.
But they may have to get a bit louder. They need something to cheer on. Need a catalyst to get themselves singing again.
Yeah, look, and Dan mentioned it in the match between Brown and Bunting, where both players were looking to make their first Euro Tour final. But let's not forget the kind of stuff that Hughes produced in the BDO. He's played in some finals, some big ones as well, and won titles too.
72.
He has, of course, been to the semis at Lakeside.
Yeah.
In that Lakeside Championship, and
World Masters finalist as well.
Yep.
You won't be scared of the stage.
50.
You shouldn't be scared of the stage. You should embrace the stage. You should want to be there. That's why I try and qualify. Oh, 300 pinhead!
Well, he needed it as well. It only puts him 60 points in front, and he might yet need to follow it with another perfect visit to just stem this tide.
96. Samuel Carr 151.
Not going to happen, but he can apply some pressure. And just when it looked like Hughes had the momentum, Whitlock might be about to just stop the rot here.
Fantastic approach.
119. Jamie Carr 115.
And this is going to hurt if this goes. He's going to leave tops. He's been awesome here this week. That is absolutely clinical.
Well, it's back-to-back ton plus outs from Jamie Hughes, the 136 and the 115. Simon Whitlock will be wondering what's hit him, but we've mentioned it many times. Matches involving Simon Whitlock often involve either him or his opponent winning streaks of legs. We saw in the Bunting-Brown semi-final, it took an edge for either player to get a couple of legs in front.
100.
And that can be pivotal, but with Simon Whitlock, it doesn't really matter because he can go on these streaks, but he can also play very badly for a few legs as well. Taking nothing away from Hughes, is producing some wonderful, wonderful stuff.
Here's the thing right now, Murph. There's no defence in darts. It's all about the fact he's got to watch Jamie Hughes with this relentless attack on that treble 20.
Again, Whitlock's put in a big score there, but it's only put him marginally ahead, and he might need to produce a big checkout, as he would have had to in the previous leg.
Yours are sensibly going to 18s, but he only gets the bare minimum. That's exactly what Simon Whitlock wanted. Needs something big here. Did not want that.
Yeah, it's
that
a mess.
was a disaster.
He's not coming back for a very much easier checkout, is he? He wouldn't require the bull at the end, but he does need 2 trebles.
If he goes treble 19 first here, he might go double-double.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what he was thinking.
All the 19s on 133, treble for double-double at the bottom. He's left that double, but yet again, Yoza looking to be clinical, and yet again to do it on tops. Oh, unbelievable. And as I said earlier in the evening, when he hits that thing, he hits it on the underside of the top wire. It just looks so pretty, but it's hurting Whitlock.
Wizard opened up a 2-leg lead, but Jamie Hughes has cruised through the last 5. Never mind cruise control, this is Hughes control.
I like what he did there.
Like what he's doing here.
Let's see what he thought of that.
85.
Well, in the grand scheme of the game and the leg, that's good enough right now. Whitlock needs a lot.
The one thing you know about Simon Whitlock is that he is a fighter. He will not roll over.
139.
Every time Whitlock hits big, Jamie Hughes just seems to fire a couple of trebles in or take out a finish that just render his scores irrelevant.
134, Jamie Hughes.
Doesn't seem like missing in this range right now.
No, not at all. Now he's got a choice to make. Treble 18, gets it. Double 18.
61.
But he has missed, but Whitlock cannot afford that luxury.
2 things need to happen here. 1, Simon Whitlock needs to hit this, and he needs to show some emotion to get the crowd revved. Double-double, 19s. Perfect. Hello!
But he's done both of those things. Tick-tick from Simon Whitlock, 2 in the double 19 bed. And that could be huge in this match. It's a break of throw. Whitlock has halted the charge.
I think secretly Jamie Hughes really liked that. I mean, how could you not like that shot?
84.
I know of 2 guys, maybe 3, that would do that. One's Whitlock, one's Keegan Brown, the other one's Jan Dekker.
Well, kudos to you, Paul Nicholson. You know him so well.
Didn't know you were a Streisand fan.
Wasn't it good, Paul? Wasn't it fine? Isn't it madness?
There are legs in this match left, and Whitlock is starting that charge. He needed that little bit of a catalyst.
93.
And that 94 out has delivered, and all of a sudden, everybody has woken up from their slumber. Got to keep his foot on the pedal. Look at the nervous energy from Pazzo.
Well, that's Simon's companion who travels with him to events.
It's a bit like Stressed Eric there, didn't it? Remember Stressed Eric?
Well, sometimes it can be more stressful watching than playing.
Oh, it's much more stressful.
Never mind that, what about this?
Billy Bowden, 2 fingers up. Almost hits the 6.
Well, where has this come from? All of a sudden, Simon Whitlock, who looked like he was sinking without a trace, has hauled himself up out of the quicksand.
58. Samuel by 20.
He's looking to pitch this start in double 10. or double 5.
Oh,
Might
bust the
bust
score.
this.
No
Has
score.
bust it. And we'll have to hope that Hughes does not
150.
produce a party piece of his own.
This will be a killer blow if you can find this. Just over the top of that first treble 19, but it's the Michael van Gerwen, isn't it? You
180.
cannot
Simon Lucan,
afford a
20.
mistake here.
Play it again, Simon, but play it differently. Well, he's going to get all 3 at double. No mistake allowed, and he has made a mistake, and having put himself back in the match, he might be disappearing out of it again.
Double 16, it's there. It's a heartbreaker. Jamie Hughes is one leg away, and in the words of Simon Whitlock, oh no, Bill. Says that a lot when things go wrong. There's a story behind that little saying. Maybe we'll tell it one day. But we're telling a different story right now, and it is one of an unseeded Bunting who was waiting for the winner. Could well be an unseeded Jossa Hughes to tackle him in the final. And right now, it's looking very likely that Jamie is going to be in his first PDC Pro final.
Yeah, there you see 7 darts missed at double for Simon Whitlock, 5 of them in that leg.
58.
James Wilson right now is living on the fingernail diet. Lovely switch. Great use of the 17. He gets the single, he takes the 7 off, gets the treble, and he goes really deep into the score. And I think Whitlock,
78.
as bold and as gallant as he has been, I think he may have punched himself out.
Hughes just teeing it up, setting up the
96.
shots, and is potentially a dart away from guaranteeing that we do have a new winner on the European Tour.
42.
And it's not just his fingernails that will be being bitten, but James Wilson's as well, because if Hughes gets to the final, he can still get to the match play. Double top, that's been his thing, and it is the thing that sends Simon Whitlock out in the semi-finals. The Hughes cruise to Blackpool continues, but he won't be thinking too much about that. He's got the Czech Darts Open trophy in his sights, and he will face Stephen Bunting in the final in around 15 minutes time. Jamie Hughes defeats Simon Whitlock 7-3.